Well, I have had over the years some confusion between these ideas of covetousness, jealousy. And so I think more than just myself are confused sometimes by those two things because they seem about the same thing and we maybe use the words a lot of times interchangeably, but they're really not the same thing. They're somewhat different because the Bible talks about covetousness being sinful. Uh, and it's listed actually in one of those 10 commandments from Exodus that says it is. So we don't have to think about whether it is or not. It is. Well, it's good to know then what it is. Uh, it's something that belongs to somebody else, and you want it in such a manner that they would no longer have it. Is what covetousness means. So when Ron gets a new truck, um, it's not that I wish I had a truck like Ron's. It's that I wish I had Ron's truck so that he wouldn't have it. So there's a difference there. We have to realize it's not just I want something, and we can be greedy and we can want too much. That's a different point. But covetousness is want something that belongs to somebody else so that they don't have it. Some examples from the Old Testament is probably the most the most blatant one that's seen, although there's more said about it and there's more consequences. But David wanting Bathsheba, who was Uriah's wife. That's probably the most significant one we see. We also have, if you remember, Ahab and Naboth's vineyard. Now that's one that we don't come across very much, but this person named Naboth had a vineyard, and Ahab wanted it. And he wanted it in such a whiny fashion that we know Jezebel had Naboth killed so that he could get the vineyard that he wanted. We see, and that's 1 Kings 21, if anybody wants to look that up. And then Joshua 7 talks about Achan's theft and the consequences of all that. So those are things where people take something from somebody else. That's covetousness. I want something that you've got, not something like you've got, but I want yours. In the New Testament, Luke 12:15, Jesus tells us to take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. Now, that's a consequence, but he says be on guard against it. So while we don't follow the 10 commandments in the new covenant, we do follow the concepts that Jesus and those taught, and that's one that's continued to be taught. Envy is another similar word to covet. Envy is wanting what someone else has also. Usually envy is not to take somebody else, not to take it away from them, but to feel like you deserve what they have. So somebody that's I don't know, healthier than you, you've done all you can over the years, and for whatever reason you're just not as healthy as they. You're not as strong as them. You all competed in a race and they won, and you should have won, except for that whatever happened on that turf that messed you up, and it wasn't your fault, and you deserve something. That's where envy comes from, and it's the same idea. I want the prize that you got instead of you getting it. So it's very, very close. It's envious is, for instance, when a friend of yours inherits a fortune from their parents. Well, they didn't do anything to have rich parents. Why do they deserve that? I deserve that. So that's envy, and it's very similar to covetousness, almost the same thing. My first experience with covetousness was in third grade. I didn't even know what it was or how to spell it, but Sheila Gibson was the prettiest girl in class. She had blue eyes and long blonde hair, and you can tell that third grade, I was 9 years old. I wouldn't have known very much about covetousness and didn't know much about the Bible and didn't know a lot about a lot. But later on, I could put that word to it because course, I never said anything to her. I was too shy. But my friend Mark Booth liked her too, and he wasn't shy, and he was taller and better looking than me. And of course, at 9 years old, we weren't really sure if even liking a girl was okay thing to do. But at any rate, Mark got to ride his bicycle along with her places, and he carried her books and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't. And so yeah. Yeah. She was. You can. I mean, I was 9 years old, and I still remember her name. So I mean, it was a big impression on me. I'm glad Jan's not here tonight. And so we'll have to see if this gets recorded or not. But anyway, summer came along, and the good news was Mark moved to Bowling Green. So, and I liked Mark. He was a good friend of mine, so I couldn't do anything about that. And he was taller and better looking, and probably could have beat me up. But at any rate, he was a good friend. But he moved to Bowling Green, so that I missed him, but that kind of solved that problem in my mind. But the bad news was Sheila moved to Kansas City, and so that kind of was that. So anyway, a lot of time passes, but once once you're a teenager, and in my day, once you got your driver's license, you could go and do things. And of course, I dated some, and I recall one time that I asked a girl out to the drive-in, and she agreed, and we went. And of course, those days, drive-ins were popular places for teenagers to go. And so in the crowd of cars, there were some cars with people that we knew. And after a while, she had to go to the restroom and was gone quite a long time. And so I wondered about what was going on, and I found her down visiting with another carload of people. So even then, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, she didn't belong to me. I understand that. But by agreeing to go with me to the drive-in, in my mind, that obligated her to spend her time with me and not abandon me for other people. That is in a very true sense of jealousy. Again, not that somebody's property in this sense, but she was mine and she was enticed away, and that was wrong. That's not covetousness. That's not envy. That's jealousy. Jealousy, turn the page and get the definition here. Jealousy is a feeling of resentment that another person has gained something that you deserve, that you righteously deserve. To feel jealousy when a coworker receives a promotion that you deserved. Jealousy refers to it says anguish caused by fear of unfaithfulness. So again, she was supposed to be with me, and I was jealous that she preferred somebody else. Okay. It's not covetousness, that's jealousy. They're different. Jealous, so covetousness is wanting something or someone that belongs to somebody else. Jealousy is wanting what belongs to you, but has abandoned you for somebody else. Okay. So this is why God, using Exodus 34:14, says, do not worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is, and then the version, the NIV says, whose name is jealous, and it could be zealous, is a jealous God. So jealousy coming from God isn't sinful. You can't confuse the two. Covetousness, that is a sin. God is not coveting, but God is jealous. Why is God jealous? It highlights God's commitment to his people, forbidding idolatry. Don't worship other gods, because he is zealous for us and jealous if we fall away. And we used this a couple of days ago. It's what kind of prompted me into it. That Hebrew word Ganna, again, I have not done a deep study like Zach does, but it means zealous, intentionally passionate, or protective. It indicates that God is jealous in the sense that he is fiercely devoted to his people and demands their full commitment, rather than them being petty and insecure or wandering off to other gods. So back to my story, the point was that during that 2 to 3 hour period, she should have been devoted to me and not to other people. That's the way God, now again, I'm not trying to compare my night at the Southland 68 with God's love for us, but the point is that God owns us. God is our master. And when people wander away to something that they are attracted to more than they are Him, then He is jealous of that abandonment of them. Like I say, His point is a whole lot more meaningful. He made us, He commands us to serve Him and not other gods. When people looked towards other gods, other lands, other people, whatever they looked on and was attracted, golden calves or whatever it was, God was jealous. And it's a righteous feeling. And so the first commandment was clear to those people, no other gods. Jesus identifies and highlights this when he says, when he's asked by this lawyer, which commandment's the most important, Jesus responds by quoting Deuteronomy, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, with all your mind. This is why God desires us. God wants our love. He wants our devotion. He wants our commitment to Him. To look elsewhere, to anything else, creates the jealousy that He deserves us and that we are looking elsewhere. We need to always be in a position where God does not have that feeling towards us. Again, the point of this was to try to define a little bit because, as I say, I get confused sometimes, or have been. I feel like now that I've got a much clearer understanding of the different emotions, the different circumstances, and hopefully this has benefited you a little bit. And if nothing else, you've got a little bit of an insight into me as a child. But the point being that God deserves us, and we need to make sure that we recognize that and stay faithful to Him and not get distracted with something else. Let's think on these things while we stand and sing.
Bring Christ your broken life, so marred by sin. He will create anew, make whole again. Your empty, wasted years He will restore, and your iniquities remember no more. Bring Him your every care, if great or small, whatever troubles you, oh, bring it all. Bring Him your haunting fears, the name